In the middle of a busy city street, a delivery rider parks his scooter. He steps away for 12 seconds. That's all it takes. A crow drops from a rooftop, lands on the bag, tears the plastic with 2 precise pulls, and lifts a sandwich into the air. By the time the rider turns around, the bird is already gone, and so is his lunch. This is not a random theft. This is strategy. Across every major city on Earth, birds have done something no one predicted. They didn't just learn to live alongside us. They learned to feed off us systematically, intelligently, and at scale. They hijacked our food system, and most of us still haven't noticed. Chapter 1. The Great Adaptation. For thousands of years, birds followed seasons, migrations, and natural food cycles. Then humans built cities. Concrete replaced forests. Streetlights replaced moonlight. And food, once scarce and seasonal, became permanent, predictable, and absurdly abundant. The birds that survived were not the strongest. They were the ones that watched. Pigeons stopped searching for seeds and grass and started waiting outside bakeries at 6:17 a.m., the exact minute the first bags of day-old bread hit the alley. Crows abandoned remote woodlands and began mapping the routes of garbage trucks the way humans map subway lines. Gulls, once coastal hunters, discovered that a single outdoor cafe could feed an entire flock for a week. They didn't evolve new beaks or stronger wings. They evolved attention. They studied us the way we study them in laboratories, and they got better results. Chapter 2. The Trash Revolution. The modern city produces more edible waste in one day than most natural ecosystems produce in a season. Birds noticed. In the 1970s and 80s, researchers began documenting something strange. Urban bird populations were exploding while their rural cousins declined. The reason wasn't better nesting sites. It was calories. A single dumpster behind a fast food restaurant can contain more usable energy than a hectare of healthy woodland. Crows learned to open lids. Gulls learned to tip bins. Pigeons learned that the underside of outdoor tables holds a second meal after every lunch rush. But the real breakthrough came when birds stopped treating trash as random and started treating it as scheduled. They learned the days of the week. They learned which restaurants close early. They learned which apartment buildings put bags out the night before collection. Some crows in Japan began dropping hard-shelled nuts onto crosswalks, then waiting for cars to crush them, using human traffic as a tool. Others in North America began following school buses, knowing children drop food at the same corners every afternoon. This was no longer scavenging. This was logistics. Chapter 3. The Delivery Era. Then came the apps. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Deliveroo, Grubhub. Suddenly, food was no longer confined to restaurants and kitchens. It was moving through the streets in thin plastic bags, carried by distracted humans on scooters and bikes. Birds adapted within months. In multiple cities, researchers and delivery drivers began reporting the same pattern. Birds waiting at red lights. Birds landing on bags the moment a rider looks at their phone. Birds that appear to recognize specific delivery company logos. One study in a major North American city documented crows following delivery riders for several blocks, then striking only when the rider was forced to stop. The birds were not random. They were selecting targets based on bag size, rider attention, and intersection type. Gulls took it further. In coastal cities, they began snatching bags mid-air from the hands of people walking home. Not once, repeatedly, with technique. The delivery economy accidentally created the perfect mobile buffet, and birds are the first species to fully exploit it. Chapter 4. The Restaurant War. Outdoor dining was supposed to be a human luxury. Birds turned it into a battlefield. Restaurants spent millions on spikes, nets, lasers, and ultrasonic devices. Most of them failed within weeks. Why? Because birds don't just react to deterrents. They test them. Crows in several cities learned that certain spikes could be stood on if approached from the right angle. Gulls discovered that hanging CDs only worked until the wind stopped. Pigeons realized that fake owls never move, so they stopped caring. Worse, some birds began using the deterrents against the restaurants. In one well-documented case, Crows started dropping stolen food onto the spikes of rival establishments, creating messes that forced staff to clean during peak hours. In another, gulls learned the exact time the kitchen doors opened for cigarette breaks and timed their raids to the second. The birds weren't just eating the food. They were disrupting the business model that produced it. Chapter 5, The Intelligence Factor. This is where the story stops being about opportunity and becomes about cognition. Crows possess one of the highest brain-to-body ratios in the animal kingdom. They remember individual human faces for years. They communicate danger across generations. They solve multi-step problems that stump many mammals. When those minds turned toward the human food system, the results were inevitable. Experiments have shown urban crows can remember which specific people leave food out, distinguish between different types of packaging, delay gratification if a better food source is coming, teach their offspring the most profitable routes. Gulls have demonstrated the ability to read human gaze and body language, approaching only when a person is looking away. Pigeons can learn the difference between a person who feeds them and a person who chases them, and they remember it across seasons. These are not instinctive behaviors. These are learned, flexible, and culturally transmitted strategies. In evolutionary terms, city birds didn't just find a new niche. They found a new way of being intelligent. Chapter 6, The Human Cost. The economic impact is larger than most people realize. Restaurants lose inventory. Delivery companies absorb complaints. Cities spend millions on cleanup and control programs that rarely work long-term. Public health officials track contamination risks from bird droppings on outdoor food areas. Yet the deeper cost is subtler. Every time a bird successfully steals food from a human system, it reinforces a feedback loop. More birds survive, more birds learn, more birds teach the next generation. The pressure never stops. We respond with stronger deterrents. They respond with better tactics. It is an arms race, and so far the birds are winning on points. Chapter 7, The New Food Chain. Step back far enough and the pattern becomes clear. Humans produce food. Humans waste food. Humans transport food through open systems. Birds insert themselves at every weak point. They are no longer secondary scavengers. In many urban environments, they have become primary consumers of human caloric output. In ecological terms, this is extraordinary. A group of species has effectively parasitized the dominant civilization on the planet, not through disease or destruction, but through superior observation and rapid cultural learning. We built the machine. They learn how to feed from it. The next time you see a crow on a rooftop or a pigeon under a cafe table, you're not looking at a pest. You're looking, and in the quiet war for calories that now plays out on every street corner, they are currently ahead. If this made you look differently at the birds outside your window, hit subscribe. Because in the next episode, we're going deeper into the psychological games these same birds play with us every single day, and why some of them may be holding grudges that last longer than most human relationships.